Douglas Murray joins us now. He's a writer at The Spectator for the US election and author of The Madness of Crowds. Good morning to you, Douglas.
Good morning, Julia. Very good to be with you.
Lovely to talk to you. You wrote a very interesting piece yesterday with a headline warning to all those cheering Biden's win, he's no friend of Britain. Why do you say that?
Yeah, well, the piece in the Mail on Sunday was a reflection on the reality of the situation that I think this country of ours is in. Donald Trump was never much loved in the UK. His approval ratings among the British public never or very rarely went above about 25%. If he'd have stood for election in the UK, he wouldn't have got into office. But for all of that and all the criticisms that can be made of him, he was consistently a great friend, indeed admirer of the UK. And on one thing in particular was vital to this country. That is that he was exceptionally keen, his administration was exceptionally keen once we left the EU to negotiate a full and generous trade deal between the US and the UK as swiftly as possible. Now, those negotiations were underway. It's my understanding that they were only being held up, not being able to be finished before the election, not because of any lack of will on either side, but because of some technical issues that all such trade deals entail. But now we see ourselves as a country in a potentially exceptionally perilous position because the incoming administration of Joe Biden feels very differently about Brexit-Britain. It doesn't admire it in the way that Donald Trump did. Indeed, it thinks it's part of a wider problem. Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, the most important Democrat apart from Joe Biden, perhaps even more important, have consistently said in recent months that the manner in which the UK is currently leaving the EU would, erroneously, I think, jeopardize the Good Friday Agreement, and the American Democrats will not allow anything that jeopardizes the Good Friday Agreement, and therefore will not give us a trade deal with them, the US, if we leave the EU in this manner. Yeah. And so effectively, this country risks being caught between these two neighbors. Now, as I say, a lot of pro-EU people, as I say in the piece, will be thrilled by this, absolutely delighted by it. Some of them haven't been able to withhold their glee. They'll punish all of us who voted leave in 2016. We'll finally all recant. Andrew Adonis and the rest of the quack brigade will finally be able to see us come and run back into their unwelcoming arms. But no, as a country, it is not a good sign. And the Biden administration and Nancy Pelosi have been exceptional in their unpleasantness about this country in recent months.
And in their interference. And again, I've always thought it absolutely bizarre, this idea that, whether it was Obama or Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or any other, talking about how it was terrible that we were leaving the EU, when there's not a chance in hell that the Americans of any Democrat or Republican would sign up to some sort of trade deal with the Mexicans and the Canadians, which involved the Mexicans and the Canadians having a say over the laws in America. They would never give away their sovereignty in the same way as we had to under the EU, and would think it bizarre that we did so, and yet somehow take this position. Let me also ask you about this idea, and we've seen it all over the TV and the print media over the weekend. This idea that the vote last week on Tuesday, it's all still some votes to go. We're going to see recount in Georgia, etc. But we know who won. We know it was Joe Biden, and we know that he had 3 million more votes than President Trump. However, we also know that Donald Trump put on 3 million more votes in a very high turnout election. It's being billed as this big repudiation of Donald Trump, and it's a rejection of Donald Trump, a rejection of his values, and his way of doing business. Do you see it as a big repudiation of Donald Trump, or do you think the Democrats are missing a quite crucial message from large swathes of the American public?
Yeah, I traveled all around the United States in the last 5 weeks, ended up in Washington on the night of the election. And my view is that the big story of the election, apart from the fact that it seems that Joe Biden won, is the fact that the win was not that great. All the people who opposed Donald Trump in recent years wanted some massive repudiation of him. They wanted him swept, indeed kicked from office. Well, the kicking from office may still be necessary, but the sweeping from office certainly didn't happen. There was not this massive blue wave which had been talked about. Donald Trump did unusually well, indeed historically well, among communities which his detractors pretended that he had spent 4 years attacking. He has done in this election, Donald Trump, exceptionally well among Black Americans, among Hispanic Americans. Hispanic Americans, by the way, are already getting it in the shins from the American so-called tolerant anti-racist left, who are now saying that Latinos have let everyone down by voting for Trump in too large numbers. So you should warn your Latino friends, they've got the woke left coming for them next. There'll be honorable whiteys in the views of the white anti-racist left. But yes, they did very well among these groups. And indeed, the group that Donald Trump did worst among, that he lost the share of the vote among, was among white men. And I think this is very interesting, very telling. My own view is that there is serious voter fraud in America, particularly mail-in ballots, as there have been in elections in the UK. Mail-in ballots are a whole system that is rife for fraud.
But the biggest issue in America is voter suppression, not voter fraud.
And voter suppression, which both sides engage in. And so there is a necessity for the next president to try to do something to clean up what is a rotten system. But all of that having been said, it seems clear that Donald Trump did lose. Those of his supporters who can't believe it should, I think, among other things, reflect on things like the president's behavior in the first debate, which could have turned off the most ardent fan and make them wonder how on earth such a man had achieved public office.
No doubt we will talk to you many times in the future, but who knows, we may see another Trump run in 2024, more likely to be Ivanka. No doubt lots more to talk about as the weeks go by before the inauguration day. Always a lovely time to talk to you. Douglas Murray, writer at The Spectator for the US election, author of The Madness of Crowds.